Testing. Okay, so it's working. You'll probably have to cut that out. And welcome back to Punk Rock Radio with your hosts, Kenny Dietz.
Yo.
And I am Colton Schellebarger. We're not really going to be playing any music today. However, we would like to have a little discussion about punk rock and what being a punk is and what punk in general is. So, Kenny, I'll let you go ahead and start off.
Well, first, when it comes to talking punk, obviously, when you kind of look at punk from an outside perspective, like a mainstream, punk is mainly seen as like really just mindless violence and mainly like pretty much only like teenagers or thugs follow.
Yeah. It's depicted in a lot of movies too.
Yeah, and like we said in our previous episodes, it's not true. When you really look at it, there's a lot of bands that kind of put a lot of fun into music, and it touches a lot of important issues. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so punk started mainly before like Sex Pistols. I wouldn't say they were called punk, but they were kind of the predecessors.
Like the Stooges and stuff like that, you know?
You got even the Velvet Underground was considered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Underground and other bands. And it really kicked off with Sex Pistols. I think that's where the punk was, like, coined, the term punk.
Yeah, because, here's the thing. You had Sid Vicious, and I think Sid Vicious helped develop the punk attitude and what mainstream media kind of depicts it as, because he was just kind of a man who just didn't give a fuck about anything. And he was all about mindless violence and bullshit like that.
Yeah, and then, after that you got the Clash, other mainstream, the Ramones, obviously, all the other stuff. Then after that, you kind of had the new wave, as we call it. It's really kind of watered down shit, to be honest.
And I will tell you one thing, you will never hear a fucking Green Day song on punk rock radio.
Yep. Although that's not really new wave, that's kind of post. I wanted to make that announcement. Sure. I really want to make that announcement. Okay, pro tip, we're not going to play any pop punk, not Blink-182, not Green Day. No.
If you came here for that, you're fucking, like, get the fuck out of here.
No, seriously. No wrong. There's no wrong listening to them, honestly. I actually like some of Green Day's earlier songs, but I don't consider it punk. But anyways, back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
So after that, actually hardcore punk was the direct result from new wave, because a lot of people kind of got tired of it, because punk basically became a more fashion statement. People started wearing certain types of clothing, to fit the punk narrative, if I could say. And then hardcore came along, and it's what I like about it is, hey man, USA was made. Yep.
We made it with a lot more love, baby.
Yeah, seriously, go watch SLC Punk.
Not sponsored.
But no, so hardcore punk is, I think to me, it kind of touches the roots of punk. It's not, it's not lyrically, not, especially when it comes to instruments, it's not, a very talented, you're not going to be fucking the Queen, fucking Queen, with the, you're not going to get anyone rich off of it, obviously. It's more about the message or just people fucking around, really.
I think what I really liked about punk rock, and what punk rock to me is about questioning everything, thinking for yourself, being an individual,
Yeah, and like a lot of punk bands it kind of told you to question authority, and sometimes they want you to destroy authority. Crass was very notorious in England for, trashing, the Queen, and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're actually on the news for that, I think. Big A, Little A. That's what
Big A, Little A, bouncing B. The system might have got you, but it won't get me.
Hello, it's a message from your queen. I'm just kidding, nah. But yeah, and punk, it can be very controversial, obviously.
Oh.
Yeah, because the message it touches, police strike, it's about police brutality. Holly in Cambodia, it's about, kind of a left-wing authoritarianism, like, dictatorship, like, because it was about Pol Pot's regime, which was very shitty, let's be honest. I mean, it's no joke.
And Kill the Poor. That's another good Dead Kennedy song.
Yeah, Millions of Dead Cops made ones about, police, kind of like racial, like, police violence against, colored people and that. Although they're not called colored people, they're called African Americans. I'm sorry. But, obviously you got the Clash. They touch a lot on, British politics. And Joe Strummer was a socialist, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's get to it. So basically, after the hardcore scene, I think it kind of devolved into more kind of pop punk and all the genres, emo, post hardcore, all that stuff, which is nothing wrong with it. I don't think hardcore punk is dead. It's kind of went underground, but because to be honest, in the later years, it kind of got more kind of mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since they kind of started getting put on MTV.
Yeah.
And and now we're gonna touch on what punk is. Oh, like what was punk? What was it? Being punk about? So Colton, what'd you start off? What do you think?
What do I think being punk is, or being what?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said before, I think being a punk is just being an individual, being your own person, not being what this or that tells you to be, or following with the new trend and all that bullshit. Just being an individual and actually thinking for yourself. I think that's what punk is. Also, I'd like to agree with Henry Rollins when he said, questioning everything is punk rock. I'd like to agree with that too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Basically, being punk, it's a way of life,
Yeah.
You can look like the fucking...
And it's not about the fashion either. It's just all about...
Yeah. I mean, you can look like fucking George McFly from Back to the Future.
And you're a punk fucking rocker, man.
And not to... Seriously, we're not sponsored or anything, I swear to God. An SLC punk, there's a character... There's one of the good friends of the main character. He looks like a fucking nerdy ass guy from the 1950s. But dude's really smart. But he's punk as shit and he kicks ass.
He really does kick ass. Yeah. No, this guy he's not a poser. Watch this. Throws a guy out. Pop.
Okay, not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
But no, so yeah, punk. Like Crass, basically what Crass called it. Punk just stood for freedom, not violence, greed, or hate.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, punk. So basically, punk. Be yourself. Honestly, you can be, fucking. I hate to say it, but you can be like a vegan punk. Really hate to say
fucking vegans.
If you're vegan, cool, but please don't tell me. I'll eat my food. But you can be a conservative punk even. You can be, liberal punk. You can be communist, socialist, anarchist. It's really... Not Nazi punk, though. They can fuck off.
Nazi punks can fuck off.
Because Nazis basically... What they want to do is just limit freedoms of other people, like minorities, gays, all that stuff, which is not punk. They're basically like less organized skinheads, white power skinheads. And again, not generalizing skinheads. A lot of them are cool people and decent folks who happen to just get the fucking shaft.
Yeah.
But anyways, so here's another topic. Then there's a lot of politics in punk, obviously. So you kind of wonder, what ideology is punk? Let me tell you this: punk doesn't have a set ideology. Although I will tell you, a lot of early punk bands and a good number of hardcore bands are left wing. I mean, I'm not gonna bullshit you that. I mean, like I said, George Strom was a socialist and all that. I'm not saying you can't be a conservative and be punk. One of the Ramones was punk. I forgot who it was.
Johnny Ramone.
Johnny Ramone was conservative. And like I said, you can be Christian and all that. And Taco Core is Muslim punk, which is actually pretty decent. And like I say, you can't, if you're conservative, I mean, as long as, you kind of stick to what you believe in, you're punk. But like I said, Nazis or, Nazi punk, it's not really punk. I mean, you're kind of like, oh, Kenny, but it's what they believe, for themselves. Well, no. Don't give me that shit. No, they want to take away other people's freedoms, and they don't really question authority, they follow it.
Oh, yeah. Now, actually, since we're talking about punk and, what is punk, I'm going to go a little bit off subject. Me and Kenny have actually formed a band. We've already recorded the song. Maybe we'll play it on Punk Rock Radio sometime soon. We are called Anti-Minority. Kenny, would you like to tell them why our band is called Anti-Minority?
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe I could have picked a better name, but at the time I thought it was good, and I just decided to stick with it because I didn't want the soul search for another fucking name. Mm-hmm. It's called Anti-Minority because basically, at least to me, it's a left-wing band. I mean, it touches on, police brutality and stuff. It's still in its infancy, we still haven't fully finished our first song. And so yeah, it's called minority because it's basically against minority and like in the class wise, the 1%, all that, like pretty much super wealthy, rich people, all that stuff, and the police, yeah, and even hate groups basically. So it's called minority because of that. And actually, I had to make a song because I didn't want people to think we're some kind of fucking screwhead ripoff, right? Not screwhead, fucking screwdriver ripoff.
No. It was actually funny because we were at Be Here Now, the bar in Muncie, and we were looking at the karaoke machine. We're like, let's fucking do Dead Kennedys.
Oh, well, actually, Colton just looked at me and said, "You want to make a punk band?" Like, yeah, why not?
I just fucking looked at it and I was like, "You want to be in a punk band?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I think from that night we wrote like how many songs? Like 5?
Yeah, 5 or 6, man. It was pretty cool, fun night. Yeah, we were just watching these shitty indie bands, playing. Talking about like girlfriends picking up and shit. I mean, this bar. I'm not trying to show on it. There's a lot of decent people that go there, but it's very hipster, hippie-ish kind of place.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a good number of decent people there, but there's some of them are dickheads. And yeah, let's be honest. But anyways, so back to punk. So you ask, is punk dead? No. I mean, people can say it is, but honestly, you can't really kill a genre.
No.
I mean, like I said, it's mostly underground, and a lot of people kind of mistaken pop punk for punk because of the name itself.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say this: even though punk is not really alive that well in music, it's alive in books. It's well alive in books, and it's well alive in filmmaking too. I would just like to go ahead and say that as well.
Yeah. And like I said, there's probably a lot of bands that are just underground. You're not gonna have another Misfits or Black Flag anytime soon. And we kind of hope our band will kind of gain some traction. We don't expect to be super fucking popular or anything, but it's just just to have fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like Colin said, we can put a song on here.
Yeah, we actually have a few recordings of the song "Brothers in Blue." It's a song that touches on police brutality. I would like to go ahead and give my buddy Anson Hughes a shout out. He's our guitarist, and he does a pretty good job on the guitar, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he does. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
So yeah, we'll probably go ahead and put that song on here sometime soon. I will go ahead and give you a warning. There's some like we did so many recordings of that song where it's one has too much bass, one has too much guitar. And but I mean you'll get to hear it, you'll get the gist of it, and I mean it's pretty fucking good. We worked our asses off on it. So yeah, so Kenny, while we're at it, let me go and ask you this: what band got you into punk rock? What what, or it could be a song or anything. What made you think, I like this, and I like what this stands for?
Oh, actually, funny enough, my dad was in the punk scene in San Francisco during the 80s when he lived with his dad.
Oh,
he had the mohawk and all that, and he actually remembered to have a mixtape of like Subhumans and all that. And I remember I recently played Subhumans to my dad, and he actually was like surprised. He was like, "Holy shit, I haven't heard this band in years."
Yeah.
And my dad's he's a punk at heart still. He's old, but like I said, old punk stand in the back of the crowd. And he actually went with us to see Henry Rollins in November. So it's one of his spoken words.
Oh,
I recommend if Henry ever shows up near you, I go to spoken word. It's well worth it. He's a really cool guy. And
hilarious.
Yeah, but no, back to the topic. The band that got me into punk is probably The Clash, which is kind of funny because I'm not the biggest fan of them, but my dad loves them, and I just always heard their music. Red Angel, Dragnet, London Burning, London Calling. Yeah, so Clash got me into it. Then it was the Sex Pistols that when I really was like, "Yeah, I like this shit. I really do."
Yeah.
Then I my dad showed me Black Flag, freaking Bad Brains, Minor Threat, Crass. Then I kind of explored on my own, and I found it Millions of Dead Cops, fucking
just kind of went on from there.
DRI, all that stuff. Yeah, so it was kind of like a chain. chain reaction. So how about you, Colton?
For me, I remember the date, not really the date, but I remember the time where I was at where I actually really got into punk rock. I was a junior in high school, and I was an outcast, wasn't really popular, didn't need to be, didn't care to be. And I think, for me, it was more like the song. When I heard Sex Pistols' Anarchy in the UK, which, I mean, you got to start off somehow,
Yeah.
When I heard that song, I was like, holy fucking shit. This is fucking awesome. And then after that was the Misfits, and that's when I fell in love with the Misfits. And then after that, it was the Stooges, and then boom. Like, I go from Minor Threat, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, stuff like that. So, yeah, I would have to say what started it all was the Misfits and the Sex Pistols.
Mm. Okay, well, I think that really covers it. Colton, do you have any leaving kind of remarks?
Just one. SLC Punk is a movie you should watch. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. No.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us bitch for about 16, 17 minutes. Hopefully this show could get you across, maybe you're on the highway, maybe you're just bored, don't know what the fuck to do.
Or maybe just, maybe get you a general understanding, at least in our amateurish interpretation of it.
Yeah. And, feel free to like, subscribe.
Or not. You're big boys.
Or not. I don't give a shit, dude, really. It's about 1:30 in the morning, and I'm exhausted as fuck.
Yeah, I gotta wake up at fucking 8, so.
Oh, fuck, dude. All right. Well, fucking A, guys. Kenny, is there anything else you would like to say to them?
No, not really. Just rock on, punk on, whatever. Fuck it. Fuck all the women, guys. It's 2017. What you want?
All right. Later on, guys.
Later.